I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Ivanka Trump is advisor to the president while Tiffany's studying for a law degree. Ivanka grew up on the East Coast while Tiffany spent her first years on the West Coast. Ivanka's 12 years older and spends her time looking after her family, while Tiffany's splashing her millions with her rich and famous social circle. These two siblings might have grown up living very different lives, but one thing's for sure, they've both got the same talent for spending money. Make sure to stick around as we take a deep dive into how Ivanka and Tiffany are living their luxury lives. There's more than meets the eye when it comes to Ivanka Trump, and underneath her shiny exterior, she's actually got a head full of culture. In fact, art is something that Ivanka clearly adores if her extensive collection is anything to go by. Ivanka and her husband Jared have an art collection worth a huge $25 million. Their home is filled with contemporary art. Ivanka counts Cy Twombly, Wade Guyton, and Joe Bradley among her favorite artists. And she told Artsy that her rules for collecting are that, quote, "We don't buy art that we don't love, and we only buy something if we both love it and want to live with it," end quote. Ivanka's taste isn't always overly traditional. Some of the pieces show a very unique taste, like the painting made from used chewing gum, created by one of her favorite artists called Dan Cohen. She also has an Alex the Corday painting hanging in her apartment, as well as one of Los Angeles artist Alex Israel's gradient-based works in her dining room. Ivanka also loves mobile art and has a large-scale hanging mobile with cartoon drawings from pop culture by Louis Eisner in her home. Shall we give you a mini tour of Ivanka's fancy apartment in the Kalorama neighborhood of Washington? This almost 7,000 square foot house is right in the center of where the power elite all call home, and Ivanka's house shows exactly that. Ivanka and Jared moved into the house in 2017, and at first it wasn't clear whether they'd bought it or they were renting. And when we found out how much they were spending on renting, we couldn't help but wonder why they don't just buy a place. They're renting it for $15,000 a month from Chilean billionaire Andronica Luksic, and it's stylish both inside and out. The 6-bedroom, 6,870 square foot house sold for $5.5 million, $100,000 less than the asking price on December 22, 2016, and the identity of the buyer had until recently not been disclosed. Inside, you'll find 5 wood-burning fireplaces and a master suite with walk-in closets, a soaking tub, and a deck that overlooks the garden. There's plenty of space for Ivanka to relax back in, surrounded by sleek white walls, her tasteful and unique art collection, and her family. If you've seen many pictures of Ivanka and Jared around town, you'll probably have cooed over their gorgeous daughter Arabella. Growing up in Washington luxury, it's clear that this girl is spending her early years surrounded by nothing but the very best, and that also applies to her education. Arabella attends the Jewish Primary Day School in Washington, where annual tuition runs a cool $26,100 for kids in pre-K to 5th grade. When they get older, the prices go up even more. It's certainly a lot to pay for an education, but who are we to judge? The school is known for being one of the best in the area, and it's a hotspot for celebrity children in Washington. For prices that high, we're expecting big things from Arabella in the future. And while it seems like Ivanka might spend a lot of her millions on herself, and we'll get to that in a minute, it shows that she's also prepared to invest in her children's futures too. The media loves to talk about Ivanka's outfits, and she certainly has a lot of eye-catching ones. In fact, it's an area that she definitely splashes out on frequently. Let's talk first about one item of jewelry that caught a lot of attention because of its eye-watering expensive price tag. That's right, we're talking about the $10,800 diamond bracelet that Ivanka wore on 60 Minutes in 2016. Ivanka, her father, and the rest of the family, except for Barron, appeared on the show only a couple of years ago. Ivanka was seated in the front row wearing the famous gold and diamond bracelet. Only a few days later, her company sent an email to fashion writers promoting the bracelet, mentioning its appearance on 60 Minutes and showing a photo from the interview. The diamond bracelet was also on sale on Ivanka's website at the time, so it seemed like an easy way for a little bit of promotion. And while it might have encouraged her fans to splash out on the piece of jewelry, it also showed us just how expensive Ivanka's taste truly is. More recently, Ivanka's been back in the news for the total sum of money that she spent in 2 days at the G20 summit. While there were important issues to be discussed, Ivanka felt that it was important to look good at the same time. Ivanka joined her dad, Donald Trump, for the summit in Japan. The first daughter headed to the summit in a tan midi coat dress, which was pulled in by a large white belt. That wasn't the only costly outfit that she wore. We're only just getting started. During this trip, Ivanka turned heads in a number of designer outfits, with a wardrobe cost costing nearly $12,000 in total. Brands included the likes of Finn, Burberry, and Valentino, expensive items that showed those listening in that Ivanka meant business. During the summit, she turned heads as she spoke about women's empowerment. In the past, she's also been spotted in a $5,000 silver Carolina Herrera dress, and she spent just under $20 grand on outfits when she took a trip to the UK in 2019. When she's not speaking at summits or helping her father with his political ventures, Ivanka loves to spend her time and money relaxing on vacation. The first daughter is a huge fan of skiing holidays and loves to jet off to the likes of Aspen, Colorado, and Whistler in Canada to spend some time on the slopes with her family. And it's not only snow-themed holidays that this family like to enjoy. In 2018, Ivanka and Jared spent $58,000 on a long weekend at a luxury resort in the Dominican Republic. They embarked on a getaway to the town of Rio San Juan, and they did so in VIP style. And in August 2017, the pair went on a spa getaway. Then there was the $330 grand ski trip to Aspen, this time with Ivanka's siblings. To celebrate Passover in 2017, Ivanka and Jared took their 3 young children to the Four Seasons Resort and residences in Whistler, British Columbia. What we're trying to say is, if Ivanka's not working in Washington, there's a high chance she's not in the country at all. Instead, she's exploring a new place or relaxing back with her nearest and dearest. So now we've covered Trump's eldest daughter's spending habits, but now let's move on to Trump's younger daughter, Tiffany. Allegedly named after the famous store, Tiffany grew up raised by Marla Maples, Trump's ex-wife. As a result, Tiffany isn't too close to her father, and so she hasn't reaped all of the benefits that Ivanka seems to. This doesn't seem to have been an issue for Tiffany, though, who has spoken extensively about her childhood away from her father. In 2013, Tiffany told Oprah Winfrey, quote, "Since I have grown up on the West Coast, I'm definitely different from all of them growing up on the East Coast. It was great for me getting to grow up as a normal kid just out of the spotlight versus all of them growing up in New York. They always had that intense media and spotlight on them," end quote. In fact, some people have gone so far as to call Tiffany the forgotten daughter of Trump's. With a budding career in the law industry, Tiffany's not involved in the family business the same way that many of her half-siblings are, but she still seems to be close to her older sister Ivanka. However, this lack of involvement in her father's presidency doesn't seem to have held her back financially, and she's making a name for herself across America as a socialite and model. Tiffany is 25 years old and has a net worth of $10 million. That might be more money than we could ever hope for, but it's a measly sum in comparison to Ivanka's net worth of $300 million. But Tiffany's making do with her income and is spending it however she sees fit. In fact, the New York Times called her part of the Snap Pack, a group of young, rich social media personalities with famous relations who are frequently photographed by the paparazzi. As she's much younger than Ivanka, Tiffany doesn't have the same costs to pay that come with childcare and schooling fees. So most of Tiffany's money seems to be spent on herself and her luxurious lifestyle. Tiffany is regularly spotted on the rich kids of Instagram feed, meaning you've probably double-tapped on her yacht selfies over the last few years. And with 1 million Instagram followers following her every move, it's clear that Tiffany's not going to hold back on posting about her lifestyle anytime soon. Tiffany grew up in California and has tried her hand at a few different careers in the past. She's modeled for fellow Snap Pack member Andrew Warren at New York Fashion Week and has also released a single called Like a Bird. While it didn't quite catapult her into a world of untouchable fame, it did give her a little more attention in the media sphere. Tiffany's lifestyle might have been low-key until her father entered office in 2016, but that hasn't stopped her from growing up with expensive taste. When Marla and Donald divorced, Marla walked away with a reported $2 million plus childcare fees to raise Tiffany, so we're not really surprised that she's used to the finer things in life. Nowadays, no matter where you see Tiffany, she's well-dressed in expensive clothes, staying in luxury hotels, and hanging out with only the best of the best. Tiffany learned how to spend money from her mother, and as she got a little older, from Ivanka. She even scheduled a meeting with her father when she was 21 to ask about getting some more pocket money. Having not grown up close to Donald, she knew that her siblings were seeing more of his income than she was, and so she wanted to even things out a little. Tiffany spoke to Ivanka to ask her how to go about having the conversation, and Ivanka suggested to Donald that he surprise Tiffany with her own credit card for Christmas. From this point, Tiffany made the most of this extra money by splashing out with her privileged collection of college friends. She might spend a lot of time jetting around the US nowadays to keep up with her degree and make time for her family, but Tiffany's also a fan of expensive holidays out of the country. She met her current boyfriend Michael in Greece house when they were both vacationing. Michael is of Lebanese descent and grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, where his wealthy family does a range of different businesses. So it's no surprise that the pair together are both comfortable spending lots of money. They started 2019 in Phuket, Thailand, where they stayed in some of the country's fanciest hotels and saw all the sights. More recently, Tiffany looked to be living her best life in Cannes. She also spends public holidays at Mar-a-Lago with her family. Also in 2019, Tiffany explored parts of Eastern Europe with Michael. The pair visited Serbia for a number of days and spent some of their time in the city at the poshest hotel they could find. The Square 9 where they chose to stay is in central Belgrade, about a 10-minute walk from the city's 19th century Bohemian Quarter. Room rates range from about $200 to $1,450 a night. And we're betting that Tiffany and Michael prefer the expensive end of that range. Reviewers have called the hotel's rooftop Japanese restaurant, quote, easily the poshest spot in town, end quote. Tiffany also likes hanging out with her famous friends, going to expensive clubs, and generally just having a good time. Some of her most famous friends include Lindsay Lohan, Gene Simmons' daughter Sophie, fashion designer Adam Warren, and Paris Hilton's brother Barron. She's been spotted shopping at Gucci with her friends and dining at a swanky private members club. Now let's talk a little about fashion, because although Ivanka and Tiffany seem to have very different tastes, they both know what's up in the world of expensive labels. With their father in office, there's plenty of opportunity for the girls to dress up and don their best outfits, and they both seem to follow the rule of only wearing an expensive outfit once. At the U.S. state dinner hosted by Queen Elizabeth at Buckingham Palace on the family's recent state visit, Tiffany wore a bold red gown by British designer Susie Turner. The look was heavily adorned with Swarovski crystals and handcrafted feathered flowers. And that's only one of the fancy gowns that she's been spotted wearing in the past. Tiffany sure does have a wardrobe to die for. That's all for how Trump's daughters spend their millions. What do you think of the sisters' luxury lifestyles? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to The Richest, and join our awesome notification squad. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.